warning to our viewers. What you're about to watch is a true story. The following program contains content that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
Phoenix 911, where is your emergency?
Oh, I just found a woman's body.
April 28th, 2023. As 29-year-old Lauren Heike stepped onto her favorite hiking trail in North Phoenix, expecting nothing more than a peaceful evening walk through the desert she loved, she thought she was alone. She was wrong. Someone was already there, lurking in the shadows, waiting. Within minutes, Lauren would be running through barbed wire, fighting for her life as a blade pierced her body 15 brutal times. Her killer disappeared into the desert, leaving her to die alone. But here's what will chill you to the bone. When police finally caught him and showed him surveillance footage of himself stalking Lauren, he looked straight at the camera and said, "That's me, I think. Is it? I don't know." And that confession? It was just the beginning, because what investigators uncovered next would expose a scandal that reached straight into the heart of the Phoenix Police Department itself. This is the horrifying truth behind the Phoenix Trail Stalker, and the betrayal that ran deeper than anyone imagined. Welcome to the Shadow Files crime series. Tonight's case will shake you to your core. Take a moment to hit subscribe, drop a like, and please let us know where you're watching from. And now, we begin. To understand what happened to Lauren Heike, you need to understand Phoenix in the spring of 2023. This was post-pandemic America. People were hungry for freedom, for open spaces, for normalcy. And nowhere was this more evident than in Phoenix's sprawling desert trail system. Hundreds of thousands of residents had discovered these paths during lockdown, miles of interconnected routes winding through the stunning Sonoran landscape. North Phoenix had become a magnet for young professionals like Lauren. Safe neighborhoods, modern apartments, and those trails, always those trails, calling people into the desert for their daily dose of peace and exercise. The Reach 11 recreation area was the crown jewel. Well-maintained paths, regular foot traffic, mountain bikers, joggers, and casual walkers sharing the same routes every single day. It was the kind of place where regulars nodded to each other in passing, where everyone felt like part of an unspoken community. This was also the height of the surveillance age. Ring cameras on every doorstep, cell phones tracking every movement, social media documenting every hike, every sunset, every moment of desert bliss. People felt safe here. Invincible even. Young women like Lauren hiked alone without a second thought because why wouldn't they? This was broad daylight. This was their neighborhood. These were their sacred spaces. But on April 28, 2023, that sense of security was nothing more than an illusion, and Lauren Heike was about to discover that even in the most familiar places, even in the brightest daylight, evil can be watching and waiting. Lauren Heike was the kind of person who made the world a little brighter just by being in it. Born in 1994, she grew up with parents Jeff and Lana who raised her to approach life with infectious optimism and genuine care for others. Lauren was a natural athlete who found joy in pushing her physical boundaries, but more than that, she was the friend who remembered everyone's birthdays, who stopped to help strangers, who would literally rescue stray animals from the streets. By 2023, at 29, Lauren had built the life she wanted in North Phoenix. She worked in healthcare, channeling that same empathy that defined her personality into a career helping others. Her apartment was her sanctuary, and her daily routine revolved around work, fitness, and maintaining the close friendships that meant everything to her. But it was the desert that truly captured Lauren's heart. She had fallen completely in love with Arizona's Sonoran landscape. Those sprawling trails weren't just exercise routes for Lauren, they were therapy. She knew every path, every turn, every viewpoint. She hiked them alone, confident in her knowledge and physical fitness, using the solitude as both workout and meditation. Lauren was smart about safety. Always, she told people her hiking plans, carried her phone and emergency supplies, stuck to well-traveled trails during daylight hours. She documented her adventures on social media, sharing stunning desert photos that inspired others to explore nature. In her world, these trails were sacred spaces where nothing bad could ever happen. April 28, 2023, started like any other Friday. Lauren completed her workday with her typical efficiency and positive attitude. She texted friends about weekend plans, shared photos from previous hikes. The Arizona weather was beautiful, and she made the decision that would cost her everything: an evening walk on her beloved Reach 11 trail. Around 6 p.m., Lauren grabbed her phone, keys, and water bottle. She slipped into her typical hiking gear, athletic clothes, and running shoes. She had posted to social media earlier that day about the gorgeous weather, never knowing those would be among her final words to the world. As she locked her apartment door and headed toward the trail that was just half a mile from her home, Lauren had no reason to fear. She was doing what she'd done hundreds of times before. She was strong, prepared, and familiar with every inch of that desert path. She had no idea that someone was already there, waiting in the shadows. Someone who had been watching. Someone who had already decided that Lauren Heike would never make it home. 6:15 p.m. Lauren steps onto the Reach 11 trail for the last time. Security cameras capture her walking confidently along the familiar desert path, her stride purposeful and strong. She has no idea that 22-year-old Zion Teasley is already there, lurking in the shadows, watching her every move. The stalking begins immediately. Surveillance footage later reveals the terrifying truth. Teasley adjusts his path to match Lauren's, following at a distance, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As Lauren reaches a more isolated section of the trail, away from the main path where other hikers might see, Teasley makes his move. The attack comes from behind. Sudden, brutal, terrifying. But Lauren Heike doesn't go down without a fight. The evidence tells the story of her desperate battle for survival. Defensive wounds cover her hands and arms as she tries to fend off her attacker's knife. She runs, fighting with everything she has. Physical evidence suggests she was chased through or over barbed wire fencing, her clothes torn as she tried to escape. 15 times, that's how many times Zion Teasley's knife found its mark. 15 wounds that ended the life of a woman who had done nothing more than step onto a trail she loved. Despite Lauren's strength, despite her fighting spirit, the attack proves fatal. Teasley flees the scene, captured on surveillance cameras running from the area as Lauren's body lies motionless in the desert. The sun sets over Phoenix, and Lauren Heike never makes it home. The next morning, April 29th, brings a discovery that will haunt a community forever. At 6:30 a.m., a neighbor walking their dog stumbles upon something that shouldn't be there. Lauren's body lying among the desert brush. The 911 call captures the walker's shock and disbelief.
Phoenix 911, where is your emergency?
Oh, I just found a woman's body out in the desert.
Right.
My address is, and I was just going for a walk, and she's there. I didn't touch her, I didn't do anything, but it looks like she's been there for a while.
Here, let me connect the paramedics here.
Okay, thanks.
Fire department, what's the location of the emergency? Okay, is that a house, apartment, or a business, ma'am?
It's a house?
Okay, is that a house out in Phoenix?
Yes.
Is this a good phone number for you?
Yes.
What's going on there?
There's a woman. I guess she's dead.
I'm sorry, ma'am? I can't hear you. Go ahead.
I just observed a woman laying in the desert behind my house, and I think she's dead.
Okay, all right. How old does she look to you?
She looks like in her mid-20s, maybe 30s.
Okay, did you get a clothing description? Did you see what she
She's
was
in
wearing?
workout clothes. She's in workout clothes, black bra, black pants. One shoe is off. She's got kind of blondish hair.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I have help coming, okay? Are you
Okay.
able to get near her? I don't want you
Yes.
to put yourself in danger, but I do want to see if she's breathing, okay? That's
Yes,
important.
okay.
Help is coming.
Okay. Let me walk out there just a sec.
And then are there any weapons or drugs laid out around her? Or is it just
No.
her?
It's just her.
Okay. All right. Any noticeable injuries or bleeding, ma'am?
Let me walk a little closer just a second.
Okay, help is coming, okay? We're coming as fast as we can. I just need to make sure she's breathing right now.
Okay, hold on. No, it doesn't look like she's breathing.
Okay.
And
You can't see her chest rising or falling?
No. And there is blood coming from under her workout bra.
Blood coming from her bra? Does it look like she was stabbed or shot?
I don't know. I can't tell.
Is there a hole?
No, not that I can see. But it does look like she's been here for a while.
Okay, PD, are you on the phone?
First responders arrive to find a brutal crime scene. Lauren's belongings are scattered along the trail, telling the story of her desperate fight for survival. Her phone, her water bottle. Items that paint a picture of the nightmare that unfolded in this peaceful place. Phoenix police immediately recognize this as a homicide. The scene is processed meticulously for physical evidence, every detail documented, every piece of potential evidence collected, and then they find it, Lauren's shoe, discovered near the barbed wire fence. Unknown to investigators at the time, this shoe contains the key to solving the case. DNA that doesn't belong to Lauren. Security cameras from nearby businesses become an investigative goldmine. Hours of footage are collected, analyzed, and pieced together to create a timeline of the attack. News of Lauren's murder spreads like wildfire through Phoenix's tight-knit hiking community. Social media floods with tributes to Lauren and disbelief that something so violent could happen on their beloved trails. Parents across the city suddenly question their children's safety on local paths they'd always considered secure. The randomness of the crime creates widespread fear. If it could happen to Lauren, young, strong, experienced, it could happen to anyone. But while the community grapples with shock and grief, investigators are already making progress. The crime lab processes the DNA found on Lauren's shoe, and within days, something extraordinary happens. A match appears in the criminal database. Zion William Teasley, 22 years old. His address? Less than 1.5 miles from the crime scene. Suddenly, everything begins to fall into place. Surveillance footage is re-examined with this new information, and there he is, Zion Teasley, captured on camera walking the same trail as Lauren within minutes of the attack. The timeline is devastating, both victim and killer in the same area. Teasley captured running from the scene immediately after the assault, but the evidence doesn't stop there. Teasley's clothing in the surveillance footage matches items that were recently stolen from his former employer, a detail that will prove crucial in building the case against him. As investigators dig deeper into Teasley's background, a disturbing picture emerges. An extensive criminal history. Recent termination from his job for aggressive behavior toward female employees. A pattern of violence that should have been a warning sign. And then comes the detail that sends investigators into overdrive. Teasley's probation officer confirms he had plane tickets to leave town. He was planning to flee. The net is closing around Lauren Heike's killer, but the race is on. Can Phoenix police capture him before he disappears forever? Who was Zion Teasley, and what turned him into a killer? The answer lies in a disturbing pattern of escalating violence that began in 2020. Teasley's criminal record reads like a blueprint for disaster. A string of armed robberies at convenience stores, charges for kidnapping and aggravated assault. This wasn't petty crime. This was a young man with a history of using weapons and targeting vulnerable victims. His method was always the same. Walk into a store, inform the clerk he was committing a robbery, jump behind the counter, and force them to load hundreds of dollars onto Google Play cards. On one occasion, he pointed a gun directly at a clerk's head. Between May and July 2020, Teasley terrorized 2 convenience stores with 7 separate attacks. He was finally caught and sentenced to prison, serving 16 months before his release in November 2022. 5 months before Lauren Hikey's murder. Teasley was placed on probation with minimal supervision, and almost immediately the warning signs began appearing. He was fired from his job for aggressive behavior toward female employees. Co-workers reported feeling uncomfortable around him. He was suspected of stealing merchandise, and here's the detail that should chill you. Teasley was known to carry a 3-inch pocket knife, the same size blade that inflicted Lauren's 15 fatal wounds. But Teasley's criminal history was only part of the story. Police interviews and evidence from his phone revealed a man consumed by internal turmoil. Handwritten notes found in his possession detailed his struggle with gender identity and sexuality, writing about battling with my gender identity within his Christian beliefs and the pressure of maintaining a good Christian mindset. One note read, "When I see a beautiful woman, and I'm a man," a statement that would take on horrifying significance given what happened to Lauren. Perhaps most disturbing of all, in the days following Lauren's murder, Teasley's phone showed he had accessed her social media accounts. He was looking at photos of the woman he had just killed, and investigators also found images of Teasley wearing clothing similar to what Lauren had on when she died. When police asked him about Lauren during his interrogation, Teasley made a chilling comment. "That's what I would want to look like." There was no connection between Teasley and Lauren before that April evening. She was a complete stranger who simply had the misfortune of crossing paths with a killer. May 4th, 2023. The hunt ends. A neighbor's camera captures the dramatic moment, SWAT trucks roaring into Teasley's apartment complex, 15 undercover vehicles surrounding the building. Officers blow down the door, screaming, "Get on the ground." Zion Teasley is dragged out in handcuffs as investigators search his home. The interrogation that follows reveals the true horror of what happened on that trail. Initially, Teasley tries to deny everything, but when detectives show him the surveillance footage of himself stalking Lauren, his facade crumbles. "That's me," he says, his voice eerily calm. "I think, is it? I don't know." He claims he hoped she was okay while simultaneously admitting he recognized himself in the footage. When asked if he planned Lauren's murder, Teasley responds with words that will haunt investigators forever. "I am definitely not the person who plans to kill another person. If I was going to do something like that, it definitely wouldn't be premeditated." The scratches and injuries visible on Teasley's body tell the story of Lauren's desperate fight for survival. This was a man who had just committed murder, sitting calmly in a police station, confessing to the most brutal crime imaginable. But Teasley's confession was just the beginning. What investigators discovered next would shake the Phoenix Police Department to its core. Buried deep in the case files was a bombshell. Zion Teasley had been in a relationship with a Phoenix patrol officer. Text messages, hundreds of them. A large volume of communications between the accused killer and a cop, exchanged right up until the day of Teasley's arrest. But here's what makes it even more disturbing. The officer knew exactly who Teasley was when the arrest was made. Phone records show that the day after Teasley was arrested, this officer searched Lauren Heike, Zion, and Teasley on his department-issued device. He was looking up information about the case involving his secret boyfriend. And he told no one. While his colleagues worked around the clock to solve Lauren's murder, this officer sat in squad meetings, discussed the case with his teammates, and never once disclosed that he had a personal relationship with the prime suspect. The potential compromise to the investigation was staggering. When Internal Affairs finally uncovered the relationship, the officer received a suspension. But the damage was done. Questions swirled. What information might have been leaked? Was the investigation compromised from the inside? Meanwhile, Teasley's criminal profile continued to expand. In 2025, he was hit with 10 additional felony accounts for sexual exploitation of minors, admitting he distributed and received child pornography in 2019 and 2020. Investigators also uncovered a previous 2020 assault case involving a knife attack on another woman, a victim who survived. The pattern was undeniable. Zion Teasley was a predator who targeted women, and Lauren Heike was just his latest victim. Prosecutors made their decision. They would seek the death penalty. The case against Zion Teasley was overwhelming. DNA evidence, surveillance footage, witness testimony, his own confession on tape. In May 2023, a grand jury handed down a first-degree murder indictment, and prosecutors made their intentions clear. They would seek the death penalty for the heinous nature of Lauren's murder. Teasley's defense team faced an impossible task. How do you defend against a mountain of evidence that includes your client's own admission of guilt? But justice for Lauren would not come quickly. The case became tangled in legal complications, additional charges in separate cases, a new defense attorney, procedural delays. Teasley's trial was pushed from October 2025 to January 2027. Lauren's parents, Jeff and Lana, would be forced to endure years of legal proceedings, reliving their daughter's murder again and again. Meanwhile, Phoenix was forever changed. Trail security was enhanced with additional lighting and emergency phones. Hiking groups formed across the city as people sought safety in numbers. Self-defense classes surged in popularity among local women. The innocence that once defined Phoenix's outdoor community was gone, replaced by a harsh new reality about random violence. But Lauren's legacy extends far beyond the fear her murder created. A memorial was established at the Reach 11 Trail where she died. Annual safety awareness events are held in her honor. Her story has become both a cautionary tale and a call to action for trail safety and victim rights advocacy. Lauren Heike's family turned their unspeakable grief into a mission, ensuring that no other family would endure what they have suffered. As we reach the end of this horrifying story, we're left with haunting questions that have no easy answers. How does a community protect itself against truly random violence? Lauren Heike did everything right. She hiked familiar trails in daylight, told people her plans, carried her phone. Yet none of that mattered when she crossed paths with a killer. Were there warning signs that could have prevented this tragedy? Teasley's pattern of violence against women was documented. His aggressive behavior toward female co-workers was known. He'd just been released from prison months earlier. Could better probation supervision have made a difference? What role did Teasley's internal struggles with identity and mental health play in this crime? And perhaps most disturbing of all, how did the system fail so catastrophically? A police officer in a relationship with the suspect, early release with minimal supervision, mental health resources that might have intervened but never had the chance. These failures cost Lauren Heike her life. But as Phoenix continues to grapple with these unanswered questions, Lauren's memory endures. She was a vibrant young woman whose life was cut tragically short by senseless violence. Her love of nature and adventure continues to inspire others, even in death. Her story reminds us of the importance of community vigilance without surrendering to fear. Lauren Heike set out that April evening for nothing more than a peaceful walk in the desert she loved. Instead, she became the victim of a random act of violence that shattered her family, traumatized her community, and exposed disturbing failures within the very system meant to protect us. As Zion Teasley awaits trial, Lauren's memory serves as both a tribute to a life of kindness and adventure, and a stark reminder that evil can strike anywhere, anytime, without warning. In Phoenix, they still hike the trails Lauren loved, but they hike them differently now, forever changed by the horrifying truth of what happened on that desert path. If you enjoyed this content, join our community by subscribing and turning on notifications. Every subscriber makes it possible for us to keep creating content we're passionate about sharing with you.